Alright, this is kind of sort of going to be a stream of consciousness thing here because I don't have this planned out. So I'm going to more or less show you how I would do it as it comes along. This is likely not going to be uploaded anywhere else. This is for Vardenfell Storm Sage. But I do want to preface that just in case I do. I'm not going to bother editing or nothing. I used Craiyon AI to generate this here texture right quick. There was a little bit of fiddly bits off the side I cut off, and I just used a comb, regular brush to darken up the edges. Something crazy. This is just something simple I wanted to knock out real quick. It's already saved in DDS format, which I use Paint.net. I don't know what Vvar uses, but I just want to show you my settings just in case. I always save in the BC3 linear DXT5. I don't know what that means any more than you do. That's just what I use. Make sure you generate the maps, and on Paint.net, I use the font setting, font, however you want to say that. Since I've already got it saved, I'm just going to go ahead and close and run with it. In Blender, I got a brand new unit here. I'm going to import a Daedric dagger for size comparisons. Generate me a new collection over here for mine to actually sit in, but this is for positioning, size positioning, because you need the handle to be in the same place every time. So well, we're not in edit mode or nothing. I'm gonna take my texture and drag it over, and it will pop up as a reference image. You don't have to use the texture itself, but that's just what I got on hand. And I'm just going to scale it down until it looks about right, the size I wanted. And this really wouldn't be a weapon, to be honest, if I was to actually be making this for serious. This is more like a tableware pocket knife kind of thing. And we're really just going to the handles about the right size. I'm going to get rid of the Daedric dagger now. And that means this is roughly about the size it needs to be. I'm going to add a cube this here collection. Go into edit mode and start to scale it way on down. And I'm gonna make it press 7 right there to get to it, and then dot period to get closer. And I'm just gonna put it right there. Right now, all we're really worried about is getting the rough proportions and size in. Now, something I'm gonna do. This is a plugin. I do believe it comes with Blender, but I enable it. Auto mirror. I always use auto mirror Z, and what effectively that does is cut the mesh in half, and we only have to worry about the top side. Whatever we do on this top side will reflect itself on the bottom. It just makes it a whole lot easier for things that need to be, symmetrical on one or more sides, like a knife. Now I'm gonna just move this one down. We're gonna add loop cuts momentarily to make this better. And I'm gonna do the handle first. I'm not gonna worry about the blade tool. The handle's about done. I added a loop cut here. Grab this line and move it down. And I'm gonna grab these two, scale them a little out. And you can type hit Alt Z, and it will make it somewhat transparent. It's easier to see in the solid mode that it's transparent or not. We're going to move this over here. We're effectively just tracing this image is more or less the broad strokes of what we're doing here. And because I need a little bit more detail, I'm going to add 2 more loop cuts. And back to top, I'm going to move it just a little bit further over. Now bear in mind, this is it doesn't have to be perfect, because Morrowind is kind of a blocky game in the end. And the more geometry we add, the less realistic it will actually look to some degree, at least compared to the normal game. I'm gonna lower this a bit more. Go back into transparent, and I'm gonna add some loop cuts right there. And I just to do that, I just hit Control R, and then scroll up without moving the mouse, and it won't set until you press left click. And I just press right click there to exit off of that in case you ever need to. Now, with this here, I'm going to bevel these edges by hitting Control B, hold Shift to make it slow, and then I'm going to slowly move that out. And as you can see, it's just real easily, well, it beveled the damn image. I mean, shit, that's what it did. I'm going to go back to vertex select on this. I'm going to bring these up, round them over a bit, and I'm going to leave these over here in place. Now, this isn't strictly necessary, but, and like I said, this is more flow of consciousness. I don't really have a plan for what I'm doing, so if you have a plan, use it. Shit. Now I'm gonna get rid of these by hitting Y and then X and then vertices. Y separates them out, so you know it cuts them off from whatever it's connected to. Anyways, as you can see, we have the basics of a handle now. I'm gonna come back in with my vertex select here, top, S and then X to scale a little bit. Now it won't always be perfect. And you'll have to, wiggle it around. You know what I mean? We're just roughly tracing this image's handle shape, and that don't always work with the selection across. If I can get it close that way the first time, I will. And as you can see, it's not terrible now. And then when we're out of exit mode, edit mode, I'm gonna select it and then shade smooth, and then you can get a feel for how the handle looks once it might look once it's textured. Anyways, I'm gonna shade it back flat to make it easier to see what I'm doing. I'm gonna grab these vertices here, just this line, Shift D, move them over, and then I'm gonna extrude by just hitting E and then bring it over. I'm gonna grab that by pressing L over the top of it and move it back. We're gonna scale it up slightly so it overlaps a bit. Now, I think what I'll do here, rather than try to make a face for them to sit into, I'm gonna just narrow them in. It's all right for things to overlap. Not every vertex needs to touch another vertex. It's okay for things to overlap, and usually it might even look better. You never know. So what I'm gonna do here, go back to that transparent overhead, and I'm gonna move these vertices in. Because we're just trying to edit this as close to the actual shape of this image as possible. Because I'm going to do a project from view later, and that'll make this a whole lot easier. This is almost exclusively for doing AI type images, to be honest, because when you don't have a definite image to be casting against that project from view, it really ain't gonna matter in the end, ultimately. And like those quick textures I did the other day, that really don't require any specialist kind of knowledge on that one, to be honest. With the case of the monk spade, I just looked over the image top, like this, and did UV project from view straight over, because the way I had it set up, the edges wouldn't overlap. You wouldn't have no smearing on the sides, really. Now, back to what I was doing. I'm going to do one of my loop tools. This is a plugin, but it does ship with Blender. I'm going to click relax, and as you can see, it kind of smooths out the way they flow together. You can't see the hand gestures I'm doing. I'm stupid. And whenever I feel like it's looking kind of dumb or too jittery, like here, that's what I do. As I do a relax. It doesn't always help, but sometimes it does. And when you ain't got nothing textured already, it really doesn't matter. But when you're working on a model that's been textured, it's not always the best. So I'm going to bring this up here. I'm going to bring these over a little bit more. Because another thing that we're going to be doing here, and let me show you what I'm bringing this in. I'm going to swing these in. It's always better, if at all possible, that when you're looking at this from the overhead, that your texture actually is a little bit wider than the thing you're casting. You know, like the object you're casting from. Because when we do a projected view, these lines are going to go out the black there. So if we bring these in a little bit more, it's easier to see without over the top of it, but damn it, bring it slightly. You know, the color is still visible here. It's hard for me to see them in person. Maybe it's visible in the video. I'm a little colorblind, and I do believe that's a reddish handle. And we're gonna project review there. So leave a little bit of stuff on the side there. That way, when we do project it later, we won't be having to adjust the texture on top of the image, on top of the mesh. We'll mostly be just adjusting the actual size. It'll make some more sense in a minute, I promise. This really ain't hard, it's just a little tedious. Anyways, I'm about willing to say that's good. When everything's all shaded, smoothed out and shaded, it'll look a lot better. I'm gonna call that good. Back to solid, I'm gonna split this off to its own thing. This isn't necessary, but I'm gonna do it anyway. And later on, everything's gonna get recombined anyways. But for right now, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna convert this back to a mesh, which is gonna make this mirror modifier over here disappear. Convert to mesh. And the reason why I'm doing this is I'm gonna do a loop grab on this here edge and F. And then I'm probably gonna press Y to separate it out, but I'm gonna leave it where it's at. Now, for a moment, I'm gonna hide this image by pressing H on it. I'm gonna grab this by selecting that. I'm gonna inset it. Is what I'm gonna do. Bring it in, and then press E to extrude again. And by inset, hold on, let me go back. By inset, I mean press I, and that brings the inset. And I'm gonna press E to extrude it in, and it's gonna follow its path basically. Then I'm gonna shrink it a little bit on the Z-axis there. Now, I don't know if this will work well or not, but I'm gonna re-mirror modify it here, auto mirror Z, and we're gonna separate that back. So when everything's shaded smooth again, you know, it should look fine. That's just a place for the blade to disappear into, basically. Because in a little bit, I'm gonna cheat on something like involving that. And again, you'll see what I mean in a little bit. I'm gonna shade that smooth as well. Now I'm gonna scale it up a little bit more. No, I'm not. Yeah, I am. I'm not that, but let me scale it back. Let me scale it up. I'm gonna Z a bit there. It's just adjusting. You won't be doing a lot of that. Let me actually go back to mesh. Set that back to a mesh. Grab that loop. Fill that. And then we're gonna bevel this shit. I'll grab that. It's like that guy on YouTube I watch, Chef John. He does. It's just you cooking. Every little mesh, every image is gonna have its own quirks. Sometimes it's more fiddly than others. Sometimes it ain't. Then we're gonna Alt H to unhide everything we're doing, just so I can get a feel for how the blade looks. And I'm pretty satisfied with that. So what I'm gonna do now, Shift A, add a mesh, add a cube. And as you can see, it's up here. We got, let me hide it, show you. We have my initial cube, which was the handle, that little guard piece. And then this new cube will be the blade, more or less. We're going to bring that up, down, scale it, bring it in. We're going to move it up. We'll worry about the actual size and everything of it momentarily. But we're going to bring that in. It needs to be roughly the width of the actual blade, of course, but we'll be fitting all this in a minute, so don't get too hung up on the details at the moment. Now, something I've seen recently that was neat. I'm gonna press 7 to go top view, and then I hit 6 till it turned me 90 degrees. I have that face selected. I'm gonna hold Control and then press right click, hold Control, press right click, hold Control, press right click, and then one more time. Don't worry about the tip up there right now. We're gonna Alt Z to, which is up here, by the way. Alt Z is the same thing as this toggle X-ray up here. It's just quicker to learn the hotkeys. We're gonna grab those two vertices by themselves. And because we're going to be projecting from view, I'm not going to worry about triangular details here. Now I'm going to grab this single line and go up here to auto merge vertices. You have to toggle this via the on screen button. I don't know the hotkey if there even is one. And we're going to press G and then G again, and it's going to slide along its little face here until it meets the other side and combines automatically. We're going to undo turn off that button now, because that will likely cause us issues if we don't. And then we're going to press G and then Shift Z, and we're going to put that vertices back up on that blade there. And what Shift Z does when you press G, it moves up and down. If you want to lock it to the same height where it don't move anywhere else, you just press Shift Z, and it will only stay on the X and Y axis, basically two-dimensional, which makes it much easier when you're top down to move these things around. So I'm going to Shift G, G, Shift Z, G, Shift Z, move it out, G, Shift Z, and like I said, it's okay that we have overlap. We don't want the vertices in top down mode to go too far off the actual visible image here. And where there's plenty of this overlap, left over, we're going to add more loop cuts with Control R. But we're really only going to want to add the ones we need. No point in having unnecessary geometry, really. And in the case of this funky looking blade I'm making here, actually, to be honest, it really don't need all that. Because once I cast it and project it, it'll look good on the blade. One more is I'm going to have to grab this face here, Shift Z. Top down 7. And then Control right click. We're going to need another face there. We're going to bring that in with Shift X. S to scale, and then X to limit to the X axis. And now that we got all that done, we're going to scale it straight on down till it looks roughly like a blade. And you'll know you got it right just by looking at it. Really, just eyeball it shit. Now I'm gonna say that looks about right and good. So what I'm gonna do now is there are some details here that I am going to add some extra loop cuts for, because I think they will look good and they're worth having here. Damn it. Period. Shift G, Shift Z. We're going to bring that in. And then I'm going to call that side good. Now over here we're going to have to bring them up and in, because unlike this image here, we have to worry about the 3D geometry of that little guard thingamajigger we got going on. And I'm gonna actually thicken my blade back up a little bit, because this back side is gonna be blunt and this long side is gonna be curved. Sorry, this long side is going to be the edge. This is going to be the blunt side right here. It can be either way, to be honest, but for the demonstration purposes of this video, I don't give a shit. Sorry. Now, I'm going to hide this and this. We do not need this face, and it will likely not do us any good in the going forward. I'm going to Control Z. Not Control Z. I'm going to Control R for a loop cut. And put it dead center of this here face. Now that I got this part done, now I'm going to auto mirror Z on it. And as you can see, we only have this top face to work with. That will make this job a whole lot easier going forward, trust me. Now, just to get some of this janky look out of the blade, because you don't always follow the image, by the way. Just because it's on the image doesn't mean you gotta follow it. I'm gonna give that curve a little bit more of a natural look. Let me actually unhide that so I got a reference again. Alright, as long as this blade, the actual physical blade, is within the dimensions of this image, it doesn't matter because there's texture we can cast to. So I'll bring that down a little bit more. And right now we don't have any kind of UV to worry about, so it does not matter at all. And I'm gonna show you what I mean about that in a second, I promise. Bring that in. We're just eyeballing it. So what I'm gonna do now is grab this one, and then I'm gonna loop tools, relax. And then I'm gonna do it down here as well. Actually, just I grab it all. I only want this one side, so I'm gonna deselect this side. And then I'm gonna loop tools, relax, and see if it matches the ones above it, and it does, mostly. Which is fine. That's fine. We'll roll with it. Now what we're actually gonna do is grab this here face, and we're gonna shrink it. No, you don't, you bastard. Let me let's do individual origins. See if that helps any. Not really. Shit, biscuits, ass, and onion gravy. Alright, we're gonna control and bevel it. Fuck it, it gets it to be a double blade. No, I'm not. Alright, with what I'm doing now is I'm just going to deselect these middle edges. Just these outside ones is all we want. We're gonna bevel some bitch. And if you do it with the inside ones, it's gonna bevel them too, and that's just a pain in the ass. So we're gonna drag that down. And because that actually don't look bad at all, what I'm gonna do now is turn this up here back on, hide this so I can see what the hell I'm doing, and we're gonna drag each of these down to the one below it. What I did the other day with the Monk's Spade was actually a whole lot faster and easier than this. But as you see, this ain't bad, but the Monk's Spade was easier because I didn't have to worry about actually following an image texture. I just cast on the generic metal one. If I had a proper texture, I would have used it, but I couldn't come up with one the other day. Playground was being dickish to me. Now we're just combining these down. There's probably a faster way to do this, but you know, I'm a scrub. I'm not going to pretend I'm good at this. Now, I'm going to grab just this edge, because I want that to be the cutting edge, and just move it down. And now, I'm going to see if I can get that to look alright. I'm going to do that relax trick again. Yeah, it's alright. Like I said, it's not going to matter too much in a second. Now, I'm going to call that roughly good. So what we're going to do now, top down view, we're going to take everything, convert to mesh, grab it all with, you know, A, and then we're going to join. So it's one object again. And as you can see, we have full 3D geometry because we converted mesh before we joined everything. And trust me, when you're dealing with mirror modifiers, always convert to mesh before you join them, unless they both have the exact same mirror modifier. And just to be safe, don't even do it then. Just convert to mesh first. It's always easier. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go down here to material, create Morrowind shader. I'm going to go ahead and while I'm in settings, under Morrowind settings, I'm going to go ahead and enable vertex color because we're going to want it. Base texture, open on my desktop. I got that knife. Go down here, and as you can see, it turned black, and that's only because in the UV editing, it's not on the knife. So now, what we're going to do is I'm going to grab this. We're going to separate where the hell are you? Because my, oh yeah, small monitor, sorry. Separate selection. And then here I'm going to grab that one and I'm going to separate selection. You don't have to do this, but this will make it slightly easier. So now, we're going to rotate around. What I'm going to do is edit, top down view here. And then up here I'm going to do project from view. Now you're going to have to finagle this, don't get me wrong, you're going to have to. But since it's roughly already the shape we need it to be, see, this is the combination I'm glad it happened to. When you have that happen, what you do up here is you go up here to mesh, normals, recalculate outside, and what the hell? Alright, oh yeah. So then you gotta do it again. Mesh tools. And this is another way to do it, is flip normals. And then because I have a face on the inside there, technically two faces, I need to flip them too. Whenever you have a face that's transparent and it shouldn't be, it's probably just the mesh needs to flip the normals on it. Alright, see, there we go, that's solid again. And while it's far from perfect, it should be good. We're gonna unwrap that. It'll turn into a circle somewhere. Where the hell did you go? There we go. And we're just gonna shrink this down. Shrink it down. And I'm gonna grab this side and I'm gonna use Y to break it off, and then I'm gonna stick it up here. We're not gonna have to fuss about this too much, trust me. Now, this one here, I'm gonna unwrap as well. And we're going to scale it down. And we just want it to be the same color as this pommel guard metal, whatever you want to call it. I don't really know what to call it here. And we're just not going to worry about that too much. We'll fix this in a minute. We'll hide our seams better with vertical V-call. Now, that was probably the hard part, by the way, what we just did there. And technically, when we get done with all this, we're going to merge it all back together. So as you can see here, now you bastard, did that not? Let me go back to layout. Let me say something. I'm glad these issues come up though, because there's a seam there. So all we're going to do is up here, turn on this magnet. We're going to go to vertex snapping. So when I grab this one and move him to his buddy right there, he'll snap to it. Now, technically speaking, he's part of a different mesh right now, so he ain't merging at the seams or nothing. That's okay. Here, we're going to double check, make sure there's no more gaps like that. I don't quite know why that happened, but I don't care because it was an easy fix. There, now we got that fixed. Now, we're going to select this piece, top down view. Back to UV editing. Help if I did that right. Top down view, back to UV editing. turn them around, and then UV project from view. Now he's not going to be quite perfect. Gonna have to scale him up, but that is okay. Now there is this banding on the side we're going to fix in a minute, don't worry. But as you can see, that for the most part it's pretty damn close already. So what we're going to do is grab these. I'm going to mark this seam. Actually, I'm going to grab this whole piece. And we're going to right click that, mark that as a seam. And I'm going to see what it does when I unwrap it. Shrink it down. Put it right about there. That ain't too bad, we'll roll with it. And I'm gonna go ahead and mark. Just grabbing these all. We're gonna mark them as seams. Because we're going to do the same thing I just did there. Now every mesh is going to be a little different. Well, what works with one don't always work with another. So don't get discouraged if it looks funny. And UV stuff is notoriously fickle. But the nice part is for smaller objects like this, you can hide a lot of stupid shit with VCall. Mark that as a seam. So now when I grab that, and face select, I'm going to press L, and you see how we only grab that side. Now I might be able to get away with this. It might work, it might not. So over here, what I did was I grabbed one face there, Alt, and then grab the line, and I press G to move that line over. So instead of having to cast it again, like I said, this don't always work. Nah, it doesn't. That looks stupid. I'm gonna unwrap it. And we're gonna hide this in a minute. Maybe. Let me think. Hold on, let me. Might be able to save us the effort. There. Let's just reproject it. Oh, I wish I hadn't done that. Yeah, because when I selected all, I forgot about this band here. Let me save myself a little trouble. Separate that over selection. I'll go ahead and merge him with the part he's actually supposed to be at. Select all, and then we're going to do merge by distance, so he'll be properly set up in the future. Now since I'm back over here, I can get back to the part I really want to deal with, which is not done yet because I need to separate this damn internal piece out. Fuck. There. Assholes. Now I'm done. There. So what we're going to do is take these two sides and we're going to shrink them slightly. Might scale these out, and I'll fix this in a minute. You'll see why. But we want these to be the widest point visible from the top. You see how there's a little bit of space there between them and the red ones? We're kind of cheating is what we're doing. And I'm going to hide it back in a minute so nobody will be able to tell what we did. Project it from view again. Shrink him down until he fits. Well, we're going to use SX to shrink him down until he fits. He's about the right height already. Now you can see that unlike last time, we don't have that terribly visible seam I can clear them seams now, actually. We don't have as much of a terribly visible seam. So what I'm going to do now, shrink him back till he's right about where he was earlier. And that just makes it a little easier to deal with. And when I get to the V-call, we're going to patch over that just a bit more. Here's over here. I'm going to grab that outside line. SX to give him a little bit more space. Maybe. Where the hell are you at? Up here. Maybe that's the issue. I'm going to do a loop cut there. Like I said earlier, it's just you cooking. You have to come up with solutions every now and again. Yeah. See, we're hiding that band. It ain't gonna matter too much when I get to V-call, but we're just gonna go ahead and finagle them on out. If I'd have had better foresight, I would have flipped this texture around so it's pointing the other way. And blade up, that is. I don't got no foresight. I don't math good. Alright. We're gonna roll with it. Once I V-call, it ain't gonna matter. Alright, we're gonna do the blade now. And because of the way I did it earlier, it should work the same way. We're gonna project from view, rotate him 190. And we're gonna keep him entirely within the confines of this texture. Now, because we're going to paint the shadows on with V-call in a minute. So, grab that face there. I'm going to do is grab him there, and I'm going to do the same on the other side. Grab that tip. And we're going to press I to inset. And what we're doing is giving extra vertexes for the V-call we got to paint in a minute. Now, let me show you here. This comes up. When you have triangular points that come down, sometimes they overlap like that, and that ain't a good thing. So I'm gonna go ahead and undo that second one. We're just gonna call it good there. And I'm gonna just about say he's fine. I'm gonna merge them right there. I'm gonna make sure his friend on the other side does the same. How to do that one? Alright, yeah. And boom, we got it. And you gotta use double GG to slide along normals. That way it doesn't mess the texture up. Now, I'm reasonably satisfied with how that projected. The edges don't look bad. It's got kind of a Damascus steel thing going on, which is what I told the texture to make earlier, so I'm good with that. Now we can actually take everything and join it back. And technically, I'm gonna back to edit and then auto mirror, and I'm gonna do Z positive again. And that way, because everything was mirrored in the first place, everything we cast is gonna look fine. So now we only have to worry about the top half of the blade. We can work top down. So this is the point where you'll be adjusting UVs. And if I don't, and if the seam over here is still irking me, which it kind of freaking is, I'm gonna go over here and see if I can't shrink him a little bit, hide it. I'm sorry you're getting drug on this whole stream of consciousness thing, but like I said, every time you make a mesh, you kind of got to cook with what you get. And because every texture's a little different, that's much better. I can live with that. Every texture's a little different. You got to finagle with each one of them a different way. I was hoping this wouldn't take 40 fucking minutes, but I totally did. Shit. Damn, I'm sorry about this, Vvar. If you made it this far, you're a damn champion. Alright, that's about as good as that's going to get in my humble. I'm going to go back to layout, and because I enabled settings vertex colors earlier, we can now go to vertex paint. That's not vertex. We want vertex paint. Press 2 and A. Press X to put dark up here, you can do it by hand. I just press exit because dark is already on it. And we're just gonna take this here darkness, paint it down the sides. We're just painting fake shadows on it. That's it. This is a real simple object. We ain't gotta fuss about it too hard. And I hope this was easy enough to follow along with. I know some of them seem like they move too damn fast, even for me. Well, especially for me, actually. They take way too damn much for granted in most tutorial videos. But because we're just painting some quick shadows on, mostly to hide scenes, by the way. We're not gonna fuss about this too damn much. So I'm gonna drag on there. Sometimes it'll take a moment to actually paint on. Now, could this be done in the texture? Absolutely. You could go back and do it in texture by hand, however you like. But I do find it easier to V-call things because honestly, how many damn things are you gonna work with that don't have good textures to begin with? So we're gonna darken this here side. I think I might give this side a little bit. You right in that notches are definitely getting something. They're definitely getting something there because that's how you fake that whole extra detail thing. And because I'm already here, and I can see the damn thing, I'm gonna call that about right. A little bit more darkening. It's a little too bright as it is. And remember, it's always going to be darker in Blender than it will be in this scope. And this scope is a pretty accurate representation of what it'll look like in game. And then I'm going to call that about right. We're going to, back to vertex paint, I'm going to do, let me see what dirty, no, that's too dark. Dirty vertex colors might have just worked on that one, but we're going to smooth it. Didn't see no visible change, so we're alright. Going to shade smooth. And then, I mean, if you think that looks good to you, that's done. So what I'm going to do now is just simply do a quick export. NIF. Desktop. Only selected. Remember, we only got that cube up there. I didn't bother naming the NIF this time because it don't matter. And I'm going to do dim. This is a really fancy pruning knife, so I'm going to do Damascus, short of dam pruning knife, just to have a relatively good name. Export that. We're going to go down here and bring it onto this desktop, and then bring the window down where you can see it, because I'm a goober. And that don't look too bad. And that really is it on this. That's a mesh from scratch using a custom texture. Is it perfect? No, of course not. But it kind of ain't bad for what it is. I mean, it's kitsch. It's kitsch. Come on, let's be honest. Anyways, Vvar, I'm sorry for killing 45 of your best minutes. I hope you had a beer or 3 shots of vodka while doing so. And I'm going to call it good. Thank you.